Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Hope everyone's having a lovely day and that you've had a lovely evening as well. We've got so many excellent things to get through today. Lots of information from the posts that were put out yesterday after I released my video. Specifically, information on General Flynn and his case, exculpatory evidence. I heard from a couple people they were concerned about the information that was in that post, but I'm here to tell you that there's nothing to worry about, and I'm going to explain exactly why. Also, it looks like we are winning. A majority of Americans do now understand that the FBI broke the law when they tried to remove President Trump from office through the un-American coup that we've been living in for the last several years. Also, Rudy Giuliani is out speaking about Julia Yovanovitch, the former Ukrainian ambassador. He did have something to do with her removal. Hillary Clinton continues to state that no one is above the law except for her, of course. And finally, Andrew Weissman is talking about his plan to put President Trump in prison after he has his second term. I just want to give a special thank you to everyone who watches and shares these videos. It means so much to me, you guys. And thank you to everyone for the kind messages and DMs that I'm getting everywhere. I do appreciate it. All right, guys, so please sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor. You know, more and more companies are struggling right now, and unfortunately, a casualty of that might be your 401k. We've got American workers finding their retirement money is being frozen and their plans just being canceled altogether. With stock markets, property, and bonds looking rocky right now, precious metals, gold and silver might be the way to go. Noble Gold are experts on precious metal IRAs. They've kept thousands of families safe when their futures were pulled from under them. So give them a call at 877-646-5347 or hit the link below to get the free investment guide. Check out noblegoldinvestments.com today and tell them that Red Pill 78 sent you. The information's free, and when you support Noble Gold, you support my channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all, today, we're going to talk about this article from the Gateway Pundit. They say judge rejects Flynn lawyer Sidney Powell's request for Brady material and sets sentencing for January 28th. Now, I just want to remind everyone that the sentencing has continually been pushed back for General Flynn. And there's a distinct reason why this Brady material is being rejected to be handed over to Sidney Powell and General Flynn himself. So they are asking for President Trump to pardon General Flynn. And I personally do not think that this is going to get to the point where he needs to be pardoned. But federal judge Emmett Smith on Monday rejected Powell's request for additional Brady material and announced that Flynn will be sentenced on January 28th. Again, I do not believe he's going to be sentenced. General Flynn was railroaded by the deep state, the FBI, and the crooked Mueller team. He has spent an exorbitant amount of money defending himself. All of that's true. The FBI ambushed Flynn at the White House during the Trump transition, and they altered the 302 FBI reports from that ambush interview. All of that's true. Flynn didn't even have his lawyer with him because the FBI didn't inform him that he was being targeted. Now, remember, CNBC said Michael Flynn, the Army general who briefly served as President Donald Trump's first national security advisor, will be sentenced for lying to the FBI on January 28th, the judge said Monday. Remember, General Flynn did not lie. Those 302s were altered, and the FBI agents who actually commented on this said they did not believe that Flynn lied to them when he was being questioned. Now, General Mike Flynn's lawyer, Sidney Powell, back in October, she filed a motion demanding the Justice Department produce a Brady material that has recently come into the DOJ's possession, which includes 2 phones, they were BlackBerries, and they were used by the deep state spy Joseph Mifsud. As we reported back in September, Powell gave us a clue regarding the deep state's actions in setting up members of the Trump team. Powell requested that the U.S. government provide her and General Flynn documents related to that deep state spy Joseph Mifsud from an event in late 2015. Now, it's come out that Joseph Mifsud is not an American intelligence asset. He is a Western intelligence asset. So that could be any country in the Western sphere. So that could be Great Britain, that could be Italy, that could be Australia. Now, Powell referred to the 302s regarding the dinner event in 2015 that Flynn attended, which means that the FBI was interviewing Mifsud as early as 2015 and knew exactly who he was, and not before Papadopoulos ever met Mifsud. Now, remember, in the post recently, we were told that timing was important, that the dates this all began was very important. Prior to the stated dates that this counterintelligence investigation began, there was definitely work taking place. And the fact that the FBI knew who Mifsud was and was speaking to him at this time, probably using him to gather intel on General Flynn, it's all going to come out, and it's going to be very, very bad for the FBI. She said this information is exculpatory and relevant to the defense of Mr. Flynn, and specifically to the Oconus lures and agents that Western intelligence tasked against him, likely as early as 2014, to arrange, unbeknownst to him, connection with certain Russians that they would use against him in their false claims. The phones were used by Joseph Mifsud, Powell said in that court filing. Now, Powell added, Mr. Flynn is entitled to this information under Brady versus Maryland, which he is. Joseph Mifsud, the Maltese professor, was also used by the deep state to set up Trump's foreign policy campaign advisor George Papadopoulos. U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr and U.S. Attorney from Connecticut John Durham better get to the bottom of exactly who Joseph Mifsud is and how the U.S. government used him to take down Trump and his associates, including General Flynn. All of that is true, but I believe that they are in the midst of doing that right now. Now let's go ahead and take a look at one of the posts on Method's timeline from the information provided by our favorite Anon yesterday. All right, so right here, and it says, same evidence to free Flynn currently being used to indict others. GJ, that means grand jury. And we know that John Durham has been convening grand juries outside of Washington, D.C., which I'm sure that this information has been used in those proceedings. 302, the 302 is modified one count. So does that mean that there is one 302 that was modified? Does this mean that this is one count against those who actually modified them? Has criminal charges already been filed? Who listened in on 2-count FISA? Who was it that was involved with the modification and then the listening in on Flynn's phone calls? 6 counts. I think that this is referring to criminal indictments. FBI Agent 1, that would be Pienka, Flynn interview. If FISA warrant was illegal, if FISA warrant predicated on illegal uncorroborated, if FISA actors purposely withheld exculpatory evidence from the court, watch what happens next. Now, these questions are clearly meant for us to answer, but we already have the answers for them. They were predicated on illegal and uncorroborated information. It was completely fake. These people withheld it from the court, which allowed General Flynn to be charged, which allowed this entire impeachment scandal to continue to this day. And this is what the whole FISA report was about from I.G. Horowitz. These 17 omissions that were included in all of this stuff, these are serious criminal acts, and this is what Durham is investigating. Now, this evidence is being withheld from General Flynn and his legal team because it is being used as evidence to indict the people who attempted to defraud the FISA court and who actually did defraud the FISA court. So these crimes are very serious, and the only reason General Flynn is not getting this information is because it's evidence in another case. It is secret. It is a sealed indictment. They are unable to produce it, even though legally they must. However, we've got to get through these indictments of these other individuals who were involved in setting up General Flynn, Donald Trump, all the people around him, before that evidence can be given to General Flynn. So yesterday, some people were worried that this was bad news for General Flynn. In the end, I know that this is going to be okay. Now, next, I want to go and take a look at a tweet from Draw and Strike, Brian Cates, because he talks about how this entire thing got started. Now, I said here, Draw and Strike agrees with me that General Flynn volunteered for this operation. We've talked about that several times here on the channel. So let's get into this thread. He says, this will not be an easy thread to do because a lot of people are not going to like what I have to say. They don't believe Flynn volunteered for this. I do. But there's always been my position, and I'll explain why. First, something about the nature of intelligence work. To successfully pull off a sting operation, you have to lie to your own family if necessary. You can't even pass screening for intel work if you cannot agree to have the capability to hide what you are really doing from your family and close friends. And anybody who's involved in the intelligence agencies or in legal work that would necessarily require them to go undercover, they know this is true. And anybody out there who can put this out and back me up, I would certainly appreciate it. I've stressed in my writing on the Flynn case that as an intelligence professional with 30 years experience at the top of the intelligence world, there was no way Flynn did not know his phone calls with Kislyak were being intercepted, recording, and transcribed. Of course Flynn knew that, and this was always one of the reasons that I said that I think Flynn volunteered for this operation, because he would have known that they were listening in on the fact that he was talking with Kislyak. They were looking for absolutely any reason to take him down. We already had the wizards and warlocks at the NSA helping out in this operation, and they would have necessarily read Flynn into exactly what was going on. Now, it's time to discuss something else. There's no way Flynn did not discern Strzok and Pienka's true purpose in coming to interview him at the White House on January 24th, 2017. A call from Andrew McCabe put him completely at ease, you say? Absolute BS. Now, nobody knew better than General Flynn the absolute weasels that were running the FBI under Barry. He knew all about the spying going on. He had openly declared under the new Trump administration he was going to clean house, so spare me with the he was caught off guard. The cover story is that after a friendly chat with McCabe on the phone about sending a few agents over for another friendly chat, Flynn decides to sit down without a lawyer present and leaves himself totally open and defenseless. Now, these people are stupid. They would have believed that Flynn was not read in on what was going on and felt completely comfortable. However, he was fully aware. Flynn knows where the bodies are buried. He would have known exactly what they were doing and why they were coming to speak with him. And then as soon as they got into the questioning, he would have known even more. The notes from the interview quickly make it clear this was not a friendly chat. Despite McCabe having told Flynn the FBI had just cleared him of any wrongdoing on the Kislyak phone calls based on a review of the intercepts of the phone calls, the agents keep asking and pressing Flynn on any discussion he had with Kislyak about lifting the new sanctions Obama had just imposed on Russia. The cover story is Flynn is a moron. Of course, we know that that's not true. After hearing the questions they want him to answer, he'd know this is not just a friendly interview wrapping up a few loose ends like McCabe told him. They're here to find something they can use against him. Now pay attention, this is important. If Flynn knew these agents were coming to meet him with bad intentions, if he knew you never sit down with these kinds of people without a lawyer present or at least recording your conversation with him, then his 30 years of intelligence work had failed him. And that is just an assumption I am not willing to make. But let's go with the story that Flynn absolutely believed McCabe. He was put completely at ease, and he ends up getting hit with a process perjury charge based on his interview with Strzok and Pienka, not on his supposed treasonous calls with Kislyak. The framing of Flynn is only a chapter in a massive plot. It's only one of the acts in a 5-act play. Look at the players involved in the Flynn frame and the players involved in the coup to overthrow the government. We all know it. It's the same people. Who was involved in framing Flynn? James Comey, McCabe, Peter Strzok, Joe Pienka, and Lisa Page. These are the people who initiated the frame and then did the handoff to the Mueller special counsel. Who was involved in a coup attempt to overthrow the duly elected administration of Donald Trump? It's the exact same people: Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Pienka, and Page. And he says, I know people want Barr and Durham to surgically excise all the exculpatory evidence Flynn needs to have his case tossed from the overall Spygate evidence to convict these goons and all the other stuff they did besides framing Flynn. But it's not going to happen. The fact is, this group of people involved in framing Flynn were involved in a whole lot of other criminal activity that went far beyond faking a perjury case, way beyond it. The Flynn frame-up is a part of the Spygate scandal, but it's not the entire thing. The fact is, there are ongoing criminal investigations into each one of these people where the Flynn framing plays a part, but there's far more in play here than that. Durham is investigating the entire Spygate plot, which means he has a lot more on his plate than just proving these FBI people handed off a bogus case based on altered 302 forms to the Mueller special counsel. He's investigating O'Connor's lures sent to Carter Page and Papadopoulos. He's investigating the use of foreign intelligence services being used to circumvent U.S. law to spy on U.S. citizens for political purposes. The Flynn case, again, is only a very small part of the bigger picture. Durham's not finished. Barr said he'll be done sometime in late spring and early summer. So here's what people are not going to want to hear. They can't roll out the Flynn exculpatory evidence at this time because the investigations are not over. It's the same reason they are keeping Pienka out of sight, out of mind. They won't produce him until they are done. Now, a lot of people are very upset about this. They want Flynn to be cleared. They want his name to be completely washed clean and sparkly white. But that cannot happen until the rest of the investigations have been finished. And this is why I believe that General Flynn volunteered for this operation. We've been told on numerous occasions, Flynn knows where the bodies are buried, and Flynn wanted to clean house. This is a long-term operation. This is not something we can wrap up in a couple of weeks. We've seen it ongoing for the last couple of years. And now finally, we're at a point where it looks like the end is in sight. But this right here, my friends, is something that has to be done correctly. General Flynn is a professional. He is a warrior. He is a patriot. He knows exactly what he got involved in. And I believe that he will be made whole. Now, Barr is letting Durham do his work, and he's going to do it right, and if it takes him 6 months, well, screaming at them both to hurry up won't change anything. And I've also seen people coming out against Attorney General William Barr, saying he's not doing anything. The fact of the matter is, he is doing something. He has allowed these investigations to begin, and they will be reached at their logical conclusion. But until that point, we're going to have to continue to wait and watch. And here's something else Flynn supporters need to realize, as hard as it is for some to take. The Spygate plotters were involved in way more serious crimes than faking the perjury charge against Flynn. Again, this perjury charge against Flynn is a very small piece of a much bigger picture. If they come out right now only on this one thing, then it's going to blow it for the whole rest of the case. The big picture is, zooming to where you only focus on the bogus perjury charge against Flynn means you can't see how these same criminals were involved in so much more than that. So as we wait for Durham to finish his multiple criminal investigations into Spygate, let's remember the same people who framed Flynn are also players in a much wider scandal where they committed many other crimes. Barr and Durham want to prove how these plotters victimized not just General Flynn, but a multitude of other people as well. And to do that, they have to hold their evidence back until they finish. I know that this isn't popular, and I'm really glad that Brian Cates came out and did this thread. You guys can go ahead and check it out yourself. It is quite lengthy. It continues, but I think that gets to the heart of the matter, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Please remember, this is the greatest story ever told. We are removing an incredible web of corruption, not just here in America, but this is on a global scale. You guys, everything that we're doing right now is incredible work, and we need to continue to press forward. Do not lose faith. Do not lose hope. Remember, see the bigger picture. All right, on to the next one. I had to take off my sweatshirt. It was getting a little too hot in here. So the majority of Americans now believe that the FBI broke the law investigating the Trump campaign. That is incredible news. I've said for a long time that this is about expanding the consciousness of all Americans, not just people who were already aware of this incredible illegal activity. And now I think we are getting there. The more time that goes by, the more the American people believe the FBI acted illegally in their investigations of the Trump campaign. It just goes to show that people are far smarter than Democrats and the media believe they are. Now, Town Hall reported on this poll, and it says that it's been 1 week since Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz released his long-awaited report about FISA abuse at the FBI. Investigators found that the FBI agents committed 17 violations in pursuit of a FISA warrant against Trump campaign official Carter Page. The report shows agents doctored evidence and lied to the court by failing to disclose basic and crucial facts about connections in the case. Remember, people have gone to jail for far less. Keep your hopes up. This is happening. For example, the FBI knew Page was an informant for the clowns in America, which is why he was in contact with Russians. Despite knowing this, they chose to leave it out of the FISA application and continued the narrative that the Trump campaign was colluding with the Kremlin. Agents also chose to omit details about the connection between British spy Christopher Steele and the HRC campaign. Steele wrote the dossier that the FBI used to justify a FISA warrant, or Steele was the named author, perhaps. The agents who did so were hand-selected by fired Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe. Now it's being reported that 53% of voters believe it is at least somewhat likely that the FBI broke the law when investigating the campaign. 22% say it's extremely likely, 14% say very likely, and 17% say somewhat likely. Republicans, 71%, are nearly twice as likely as Democrats, 38%, to think there's a chance the FBI broke the law. This is obviously one of the reasons Democrats have been unable to move public opinion on impeachment. People know the corruption lies at the root of their never-ending prosecution of Trump. And this is another reason why I am so comfy in this whole situation. We look around and we see the Democrats obsessed with nothing more than impeaching President Trump. They will stop at nothing to get him out of there. But as they continue on, As the American people continue to watch this unfold, they continue to awaken and realize just how corrupt these people are. You guys, they will not win. They will not succeed. And the people who have been vilified in this investigation will be proven right. We will show that this has been a criminal organization this entire time. They have been acting in a criminal manner, and I think they will be prosecuted under nothing less than the RICO statute. Let's keep watching. Now, next we have a tweet here from Paul Sperry, and he wants to remind us of something. Back on January 29th of 2018, FBI Director Wray issued a statement rebutting the Nunes memo on FISA abuses and warning Trump not to declassify or release it, citing grave concerns with inaccuracies and omissions in the memo. Well, now we know that Wray, too, was lying. Now, we were reminded of this today in a post from our favorite Anon. Let's take a look at that. Now, I had just completed this segment, and I realized, because Methods pointed it out to me, that it says FBI Director Robert Wray. It doesn't say Christopher Wray. That is very strange. Does that mean that former Director Mueller still has some pull over what the FBI is doing? I mean, obviously, this is just a tweet from Paul Sperry, so it could have been a mistake, but maybe Paul Sperry knows something that the rest of us don't. And Methods has it right here. It was "The swamp runs deep. Sleepers everywhere. Think Coates. Wheels in motion." I think this is hinting at the fact that Christopher Wray is soon to be replaced. We've been told to trust him in the past, but I've also stated that he was just a placeholder. He needed to be there so that we could get to a certain point. Now, are we at that point? Are we at the point where Christopher Wray will be replaced because the information in the IG report showed that he, too, was a sleeper agent? I think it's something to think about. Now, next we have a post that's a screen cap of a Ryan Fournier tweet, and it says, "Breaking, Mitch McConnell just said that the Senate will dismiss impeachment after opening arguments. Take that, Dems." And then we have a post to follow it up. It says the Senate must be unrestricted to conduct other important business. If Democrats knew the Senate would not vote to convict, why proceed? How long does a typical Senate impeachment trial take? Can the Senate conduct other business during this time? The answer is no. Well, what value might this have for Democrats? Barr and Durham working in secret? Senate working openly? Value of public learning the truth prior to I_unseal. Propaganda push failing. Transparency and accountability is the only way forward to save the republic. This is not another 4-year election. Game theory. So it looks to me like the team was well aware of what was going to take place this entire time. Of course, the Democrats knew that the Senate would never vote to impeach the president. They would never convict him. And this is all just a stall game. They are trying to force public opinion. They are trying to influence public opinion. But their scheme is not working, which we saw in the last story. Now, what other business could the Senate be taking up instead of this impeachment trial? This ties in again to the last post with the 1-99 and the 5-3. Let's take a look at something. All right, so the Judiciary Committee in the Senate is who would be voting on Supreme Court nominations. So 5-3, that could be Supreme Court justices minus one who is not there, so they would need to fill it. And then 1-99, probably indictments that have yet to be unsealed. And going back to this post, value of public learning the truth prior to I unseal. Indictments unseal. If the public learns the truth, when these indictments are unsealed, then it's going to be far easier for them to digest the truth of what's actually going on and what has been going on this entire time. Once again, guys, this is about the public awakening, the awakening of all Americans, and most likely a worldwide global awakening. Now, in another post, an Anon posted the storm sequence of events. Horowitz IG report, then the Comey report, then the declass of FISA, then indictments. And our favorite Anon responds that that is worth remembering. Next, an Anon posted that if you searched for Corney on the DOJ, it does show up with 14 results, and one of those is James 8 Corney. Remember, our favorite Anon posted his name as James 8 Corney in the past. And here is the post itself. It says, search Department of Justice and look what you find regarding Corney. And it's right there, James 8 Corney. And our favorite Anon responds, corn harvest, 5x5. Do you understand? I think we do. Let's take a look at a proof sent over by Methods. And this, do you believe in coincidence? Corney, Comey is actually Corney in the IG report. Remember, Devin Nunes said corn ready for to be cut. James Comey posted this picture of himself in a cornfield, and our favorite Anon said, was the corn ripe for harvesting? It is now. And remember, on March 3rd, our favorite Anon listed him as James 8 Corney, and we were told later that day that misspellings matter. I think that we are looking at James Comey's time being very, very close. If we've got the IG report, so now there's going to be a report on Comey. Is that going to be separate from Durham's report, or is that going to be part of it? I don't know. We're going to have to continue to watch. Now, speaking about that criminal conspiracy, Rudy Giuliani has just been ripping into crooked Ambassador Yovanovitch. He stated, I forced her out because she's corrupt. There's documented evidence she committed perjury, and we know that he just submitted all that evidence very recently. Now, he had said previously, stay tuned, trying to build anticipation, and did he deliver? He revealed a huge money laundering operation, which involved the Bidens and the Burisma holding company. Money was flowing through Latvia and Cyprus. It was disguised as loans to various tech companies that then paid out board fees to Hunter Biden. He said it was a straight-out violation of a money laundering statute. He revealed there are documents showing that Schiff's star witness, fired U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine Marie Yovanovitch, perjured herself at least twice during her impeachment testimony. Now, yesterday, Rudy appeared on Laura Ingram's program talking about this, and it's being asked if the U.S. Senate will investigate this corrupt former ambassador, and a lot of people are giving Lindsey Graham a hard time. I'm not so certain where Lindsey stands in this whole thing, but I do believe that Lindsey knows which way the wind is blowing. So hopefully we are going to see something about this, and we are going to get an actual investigation into her and her perjury before Congress. But let's take a look at this clip from Rudy on Laura's program.
Marie Yovanovitch.
Of course
you
I
said
did.
you needed her out of the way, but you're a personal attorney for the president, so why do you need her out of the way?
I didn't need her out of the way. I forced her out because she's corrupt. I came back with a document that will show unequivocally that she committed perjury when she said that she turned down the visa for Mr. Shokin because of corruption. The fact is, on the record, in the State Department's own records, the reason given is because he had had an operation and hadn't recovered yet. The operation, of course, was 2 years before. It's documentary evidence that she committed perjury. I have 4 witnesses who will testify that she personally turned down their visas because they were going to come here and give evidence either against Biden or against the Democratic Party. There's no question that she was acting corruptly in that position and had to be removed. She should have been fired if the State Department weren't part of the deep state.
But why didn't? But I have a question.
So there you have it. Documentary evidence exists showing that Marie Yovanovitch perjured herself. She was standing in the way of this corruption investigation, and she had skin in this game. A $13 billion money laundering operation. I think it's implausible to think that Marie Yovanovitch had absolutely no knowledge of what was taking place in Ukraine when she was the ambassador to Ukraine. Once there was a change of government, her time was nigh, and she had to go. Couple more quick ones before we round out the day. Hillary Clinton is pushing impeachment as we expect. She said no one is above the law, which is just really, really ironic when it's coming from her. But she is out on the campaign trail. Well, you would think she was out on the campaign trail, but she's still not officially running for president. But this is the tweet she sent out on Monday. It said, in America, no one is above the law, and she's inviting people to join protests around the country against the president. Now, some of the responses to her tweets are great. Pot meat kettle. And another one says, except you and your family. Someone includes that excellent meme, we never thought she'd lose, from the Post the other day. 2020, we're going to need a bigger basket. And now that Russian collusion is proven a lie, when do the trials for treason begin? You guys, I honestly do not think that it is very far away. In the face of all her clear criminal activity, can you imagine another person other than Hillary Clinton being given the type of leeway that she's been given by the media, by the elected officials that we have in this country, by law enforcement? I honestly believe that it is coming, and it is coming soon. All right, and finally, guys, Andrew Weissmann is laying out a scenario where President Trump could be criminally charged once he leaves office in 2025. Now, essentially, according to Weissmann, a grand jury could pick up the torch where Congress has been stymied, such as its failed efforts to secure State Department and OMB documents that the Trump administration has refused to turn over to the House. The same is the case for individuals who have thus far refused to give testimony, Weissmann adds, such as Mick Mulvaney or Mike Pompeo. He said a federal grand jury could seek the testimony of those who have resisted House testimony. In the scenario he lays out, prosecutors could begin issuing subpoenas to key players in the Ukraine saga, even as the 2020 election unfolds and the Senate's impeachment trial fades into the country's rearview mirror. In fact, Weissmann hints it could even be happening right now. One of the paper's authors, Barbara McQuaid, a former special prosecutor who now teaches at University of Michigan Law School, believes that several people in the Trump administration may have committed honest services fraud, a category of fraud that prosecutors often reserve for corrupt civil servants. Yes, a grand jury could investigate right now, McQuaid told me. I think they could be most certainly investigating co-conspirators and even charge those co-conspirators. Now, the only reason I bring this up is because this is a fever dream. These people are grasping at straws. They are so worried because, once again, they are attempting to accuse President Trump and the people in his orbit of the crimes they themselves are guilty of. Nothing is going to happen to President Trump. Andrew Weissmann might be looking at charges himself, and the people who are wishing and hoping for charges against President Trump through a grand jury or otherwise are never going to see their dream fulfilled. Keep dreaming. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. So many great posts, so much good information. Obviously, we didn't even have time to get through all of them today. They are still coming as I film this segment right here. So go ahead and go to Twitter to check those out, or you can head to your favorite site where the posts are embedded. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching the video. Please do consider supporting the channel by liking and sharing this video. Do also make sure that you are subscribed and that you've got notifications turned on so you can be the first to see my videos when I put them out on a daily basis. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can always check the links in the description of this video below. And once again, thank you as always for joining me. Bye-bye.